The first sign that something strange was happening appeared when a full mariachi band paraded across my backyard at 10 in the morning on a Saturday. Behind them came a champagne cart, a valet stand, and a man in a flamingo costume with clipboard marked VIP poolside access. I stood on the deck in a robe and Crocs, sipping black coffee, as a group of strangers in embroidered polos unfolded 50 chairs across my lawn. The shirts read Sunhaven Estates HOA Spring Gala 2025. I muttered to myself, I don't even have an HOA. A voice behind me corrected, not anymore. It was Edith Mallery, the self-proclaimed lifetime president of the Neighborhood Association, swirling her mimosa as though she had just conquered new territory. She grinned, so wide it looked like she planned this moment for years. My name is Calvin Greaves, a 44-year-old mechanical engineer. I bought an old farmhouse that sat right on the edge of Sunhaven Estates, a suburb infamous for cookie-cutter beige houses and passive-aggressive newsletters. My property was exempt from HOA control because of an old deed that predated the development by decades, and I liked it that way. No one telling me what color mulch I could use or how tall my mailbox should be. Just peace, my hummingbirds, and my vegetable garden. Edith, however, had other ideas. At 73, she was a power-walking, clipboard-wielding enforcer of suburban order. Her hair was always locked in a helmet-like coif, and her wardrobe was an endless collection of beige pantsuits. When she discovered that my property sat beyond her jurisdiction, she labeled it a rogue zone during a board meeting and vowed to bring it under her authority. Her campaign began with gift basket stuffed with branded trinkets, including a calendar of manicured lawns. Then came fake citations, mailbox not a code, improper known placement, suspicious solar panels reflecting dangerously. I ignored everyone and used them as kindling in my fire pit. No doubt against 17 of her imaginary rules. Edith escalated. She whispered at her Zumba class that I ran a cult, that I hoarded weapons in my shed, and that I bathed in well water. The last rumor drew gasps, as though I confessed bathing in toxic sludge. HOA volunteers began accidentally trimming my hedges. Brochures for compliance seminars appeared daily on my windshield, and a drone registered to the HOA treasurer hovered over my nephew's birthday party. Then came the letter, delivered by certified mail, printed on paper so thick it could double as drywall. It declared that my property was being reclaimed under something Edith called the Emergency Beautification Protocol. She cited an ordinance she had clearly made up herself the night before. According to her, my wildflower meadow, a habitat I had carefully nurtured for pollinators, was a hazard to property values and would be converted to community use immediately. That's why, on a bright April morning, she staged a spring gala in my backyard without permission. 300 guests arrived, each having paid $75 for what was advertised as an exclusive garden party. There was catering, a live band called the Suburban Groove, and porta potties disguised as gazebos. A professional photographer documented it all for the HOA's annual calendar. I didn't dial the police right away, though my thumb hovered over the emergency number. Instead, I called my lawyer, Maurice Elger, a semi-retired land-use attorney, and my pickleball partner. Maurice once be a city in court when it tried to seize a taco stand under eminent domain. He showed up 20 minutes later, still in tennis whites and wearing tinted prescription sunglasses that made him look like a robotic umpire. He surveyed a gala unfolding on my property with the calm detachment of someone watching animals wander into a trap of their own making. Morris's eyes swept across the chaos, an enormous chocolate fountain beside my heritage roses, massage tents blocking my driveway, and a bow-tie-wearing alpaca munching on my carefully tended lettuce. He shook his head and said flatly, "She's going to prison." And he was right. Edith hadn't just trespassed or thrown a wild neighborhood gala. Through a friend at the county clerk's office, Maurice uncovered that she had actually forged county paperwork to make it appear as if my land had been officially annexed into HOA control. She had even created a fake government email domain to impersonate zoning officials when contacting vendors. To pay for the extravaganza, she had siphoned nearly $40,000 from HOA funds that were supposed to repair sidewalks. That money had gone into the chocolate fountain, the champagne bar, sushi stations, and the 10-piece mariachi band she flew in from 3 states away. Unfortunately for her, my land carried special federal protections. Nestled within my rose bushes lived a rare insect, the rosewood metallic beetle, one of just 3 known colonies in North America. For 2 years, I've been working with university researchers to safeguard their fragile habitat. Edith's Gala, with its floodlights, pounding music, and hundreds of trampling feet, had violated multiple environmental protection laws. Maurice immediately began making calls while I filmed everything. Guests stomping on protected flowers, the alpaca relieving itself near the beetle's nesting area, champagne spilling into the meadow. Within an hour, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was alerted, along with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, and a local reporter already investigating HOA corruption. 2 weeks later, the fallout arrived. At dawn, a group of FBI agents in navy jackets knocked on Edith's door. It wasn't a dramatic SWAT raid, just a methodical arrest by the white-collar crime unit. Edith greeted them in pearls and a silk robe, hair still perfect, assuming they were there with some community award. Witnesses said she cycled through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance in under 5 seconds when she saw the badges. The list of charges took nearly 3 minutes to read: wire fraud, embezzlement, impersonating federal officials, and violating the Endangered Species Act, among others. The neighborhood was thrown into frenzy. Gossip spread faster than Edith's famous power walk. Board members scrambled to distance themselves, some resigning immediately, others claiming ignorance. One even sold his house at a steep loss and moved overseas to escape the scandal. Meanwhile, I escaped to a quiet fishing spot 2 counties away, letting Maurice handle the legal fallout while I enjoyed the peace I had always wanted from this property. The trial turned into a spectacle. Edith, convinced of her own brilliance, refused legal counsel and represented herself. She even bought a judge's robe online and wore it to court until the real judge forced her to remove it. She declared herself immune under a made-up clause from a non-existent neighborhood compact and submitted HOA meeting minutes as evidence of her authority. At one point, she accused me of conspiring with Big Beetle, insisting it was a shadowy organization that prioritized insects over human property rights. Her closing argument centered on a PowerPoint she had made in Comic Sans, complete with clip art, showing how my wild land had supposedly cost the community millions in home values. She dismissed the endangered beetle as just bugs, air quoting every word. The prosecution needed only to present federal statutes and her forged documents. The jury deliberated for just over 40 minutes before convicting her on all counts. When the judge delivered the sentence, 12 years in federal prison without parole, repayment of the stolen funds plus interest, permanent ban from any HOA board, and revocation of her real estate license, the courtroom was silent. The judge called her actions a breathtaking abuse of power combined with utter disregard for the law. Edith's final words were as absurd as the rest of her campaign. With full conviction, she declared, "I will appeal to the Supreme Homeowners Tribunal. There has never been such an institution, though 2 reporters actually searched for it online." As marshals led her away, she continued to mutter about property values and the dangers of unregulated mailboxes, as though none of it had ever been her fault.